Well, hello and welcome everyone that's listening to the first ever episode of Saw Radio. Saw Radio is a little station that a couple guys created here. What we're going to do is we're going to pick a theme for the week. We're going to say a little short story about it, how it's relevant. We're going to talk about some news that's relevant to the subject as well, that's happening in society or things like that. Then we're going to discuss it, bring in a little guest, and then we're just going to close up the show. So that's how it works.
Yeah, today what we got for you is we're going to talk about music and how it influences society, and basically how music is a reflection of the culture.
So, like we were saying earlier, we're going to start off with a little story here, and the thing that we're gonna start the entire show off with is a school-wide event that's called Thalassophobia. What is Thalassophobia, Tony?
It's a annual event at the high school that a lot of people love. It's basically a talent show, so people can perform their talents in front of others that are at the school, and you might see something about somebody that you didn't know they could do, like play the guitar or sing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the reason that we're starting off with Thalassophobia today is because the topic is music. Music and how it influences society. So we're bringing it to a high school level. How does it influence what's going on at our high school?
All right, well, that's going to take us into our main discussion here, and our discussion is going to deal with how music can create a cultural revolution. We're going to start with how Elvis Presley, of course, just made rock and roll this huge thing that everybody loves, and it's survived since like the 50s when it erupted.
Yeah.
And basically what Elvis did is he made rock and roll acceptable for pretty much white people to listen to publicly. And because previously there was mostly like a African American thing, minority kind of thing, where it was more incorporated to them. And then when the record companies brought in this white guy who could move his onstage antics, with his how
he's got his hip movements going on,
his like hip thrusts, whatever. That just got people really interested into it, and it got people listening, and people loved it, and it really shows how music can bring people together.
Yeah, absolutely, I mean? From all walks of life.
I'm not going to say like music completely ended segregation, because that definitely didn't happen. But I personally do believe that it did aid in diminishing the segregation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was telling Tony earlier before we were started recording the show that a guy like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. ended the hate from segregation, but music was the thing that brought in the love, that brought in the togetherness and the oneness of humanity, because anyone
can like any kind of music.
Exactly.
Like it's of course there's some,
and anyone can relate.
Yeah.
Like I know a guy from Texas that we talk about music. We make the same kind of music. I can be talking to a guy from Texas, Germany, from an indie band, from an electronic band, and no matter what happens, we can talk about music, and it's just this universal language that everyone can speak.
Yeah, and then we're also going another big thing in that music impacted society was the post-Nirvana era, of course. Nirvana, this huge like alternative kind of stuff. And this really just had an explosion with the record labels that signed alternative bands, because previously they were kept at the side labels, because the big companies did not want to put their names along with these bands that were kind of a risk. And so that just... So once Nirvana, when they exploded with Nevermind, the album, mm-hmm. The record companies just recognized that the potential of alternative music and the angst it can bring to teenagers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll bring us to the next area of our discussion here. We're gonna have a man named Tom Grizzle come on the show. He's a member of the band Bearlike, and he's gonna do a little bit of talking about some music and his own opinions, being a musician himself. So we'll have him get on the show.
All right, Tom, thank you for being here today. How's it going?
Good.
This is Tom Grizzle, the lead singer of Bearlike,
That's right.
a local band here in Menominee Falls that also performed at Thalassophobia. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to ask you about that a little bit. Okay, Thalassophobia, how did it feel when like just knowing that you were exposing your music, the music you guys wrote, like yourselves, to all these people?
Well, it's definitely a weird feeling. It's not something that I've gotten more than twice. Last year it was at Thalassophobia, and this year it was at Thalassophobia. Last year I covered a song with a different group of people, but this year I knew that I wanted to write an original, and it's definitely a lot different because you have to put a lot more work into it, but it's also a lot
more rewarding.
Yes, I would definitely say that. The best part was actually how much people liked it at the end, which is also something I like about Thalassophobia, because no matter what, even if like this year a kid forgot lyrics, but no one like booed him or got angry, but they started clapping with the beat to help him out, which is really cool about Thalassophobia and music, where music brings people together, and Thalassophobia is the one thing in our school where everybody is always together.
Yeah, the unity that it creates in our school, like there's always, you see this all the time, especially as an example in cafeteria about like how segregated everybody is. Like they just stay with their own little cliques and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Thalassophobia is just a great way to get, you know, people who are really off the radar, you know, and get them in the spotlight. And people often, always enjoy whatever they do.
There's nobody who doesn't like
exactly.
Thalassophobia.
And without Thalassophobia, it would be a shame.
It would be.
Definitely
a shame.
So let's talk a little bit more about your band, Bearlike. Okay, I'm going to start with this. Where did Bearlike come from, the name?
Okay, so the name came from, we started looking for names by going to random Wikipedia pages, and so we had a huge list of names from that, and then we went on to a random word generator, and we went on to Obscure, and one of the words was Bearlike. It's one word, no hyphen.
One word.
So yeah, then we chose from that list. We got it down to 4. Ciabatta Gift was in second place, but Bearlike won out.
All right. Okay. Well, that's an interesting story about the starting of a band name. Let's go a little bit more about who's in your band. So let's talk about the members. Who's part of your band, and what do these people do?
Well, we've got Dan Fahrenkopf, Mitch Kim, and Timmy Lenke. Dan and Mitch are doing guitars. In Practicality, our first song, Dan's on electric and Mitch is on acoustic. Timmy does drums, like I said. I sing. We started off, when we started working on it, it started off with just an acoustic and vocals, and then we just added more and more. And really, the backbone behind the music part is definitely Dan. He knows the most about music, and he gets it all together. And then Timmy rocks out on the drums. Mitch plays the guitar like a boss.
And you just give everybody ear pleasure with your voice.
Yes, I'm the lowly singer. That's all I do.
All right, well, coming up very shortly, we have a live studio session of Bearlike performing their song
Practicality.
The doors are opened wide, there's nobody by your side, and you've got your whole life to go. Look at your situation, it's scary, but be patient. Know you'll find yourself with time. Nobody knows what you need. You tell them what you want to see, and never give up on yourself. Suburbia and riches aren't everybody's niche, so leave her stay, just please don't force it. All things are temporary, including schooling, secondary. But you got to know what you know. Who you want to be as you grow. When you think of life in this way, your fears will begin to fade, turning skepticism to passion, and you'll begin to lead your life. We contort ourselves to fit. By God, I'd wish we'd quit. So open up and take some steps alone. Don't listen to the TV, don't you listen to the movies. Just listen to yourself and learn. 'Cause all things are temporary, including schooling, secondary. But you got to know what you know. Who do you want to be as you grow? When you think of life in this way, your fears will begin to fade, turning skepticism to passion, and you'll begin to lead your life.
Woo!